Picture this. A stealth fighter moving at supersonic speeds slips through the night sky above Tyrron. No radar ping, no warning, no sound, just a ghost carving corridors through what was once one of the most heavily defended airspaces in the Middle East. Tyrron's generals are staring at blank screens wondering where the threat is coming from. And then one by one their air defense systems go dark. This is what the F-22 Raptor has done in Operation Epic Fury. And the scale of destruction it has enabled is nothing short of staggering. Today we are going deep on one of the most consequential deployments of a single aircraft type in modern military history. The F-22 Raptor has been at the center of aerial dominance over Tyrron since the very first hours of Operation Epic Fury. We are going to break down exactly what this jet has done, how it has done it, what is coming next, and why Tyrron never stood a chance. Let us start at the beginning. Operation Epic Fury was launched in the early hours of February 28, 2026. The United States Central Command, alongside a parallel campaign, unleashed a coordinated military strike of historic proportions. The operation was announced directly to the people of Tyrron in an 8-minute video address at 2 in the morning Eastern Time. As the Center for Strategic and International Studies noted shortly after, the operation differed fundamentally from previous limited strike campaigns, which had targeted only nuclear facilities. Epic Fury was something else entirely. It was comprehensive. It was overwhelming, and it was clearly designed not just to damage Tyrron's military, but to systematically dismantle it. According to official statements, the 4 core objectives of Operation Epic Fury were clear from day one. First, destroy Tyrron's ballistic missile arsenal and completely dismantle its missile production industry. Second, annihilate the Tyrronian Navy. Third, sever Tyrron's support for proxy forces across the region. And fourth, guarantee that Tyrron never acquires a nuclear weapon. As the chairman of the Joint Chiefs stated on March 4th, the operation was designed to dismantle Tyrron's ability to project power outside its borders both today and in the future. Those were not empty words. By March 23rd, according to Central Command and reporting by defense aviation publications, American forces had conducted over 10,000 combat flights and struck more than 10,000 targets inside Tyrron. That number has continued to climb. But here is the question that most people have not asked. How did the military achieve that kind of dominance so quickly? How did air power cut through Tyrron's defenses so efficiently that within weeks even legacy platforms like the B 52 bomber were flying overland missions deep inside Tyrronian territory? The answer in large part is one aircraft, the F-22 Raptor. To understand what it is doing over Tyrron, you first need to understand what it is. The F-22 Raptor is by virtually every technical measure the most capable air superiority fighter ever built. The Air Force has described it as a combination of stealth, super cruise capability, integrated avionics, and maneuverability that delivers first look, first shot, first kill capability. Let us break those down one by one because they matter enormously in the context of what is happening in Tyrron right now. Stealth. The F-22 is constructed with radar-absorbent materials and designed with a shape that scatters radar waves rather than reflecting them back to the source. Its radar cross-section is reported to be roughly the size of a marble. This is not just about being hard to see. It is about being functionally invisible to the kind of radar systems that Tyrron had deployed before Operation Epic Fury began. Tyrron's air defense network included Russian-origin S-300 systems, considered among the most capable medium to long-range surface-to-air missile systems in the world. For most aircraft, the S-300 is a serious threat. For an F-22, it is essentially a non-factor. Supercruise. This is the ability to maintain supersonic flight, specifically above Mach 1.5, without using afterburners. Afterburners are the jet equivalent of flooring the gas pedal in a car. They generate enormous thrust, but they also generate enormous heat and exhaust signatures that can be detected by infrared sensors. Supercruise means the F-22 can fly fast and go far without lighting itself up on thermal imaging systems. Over Tyrron, that translates to a fighter that can cover massive distances, reach targets quickly, and exit before defenses can even begin to respond. Sensors and data fusion. This is where the F-22 becomes something far more than a gun with wings. The jet is equipped with an active electronically scanned array radar capable of tracking dozens of targets simultaneously while operating in low probability of intercept mode, meaning it emits signals too briefly and in too complex a pattern to be easily detected by enemy electronic warfare systems. It carries an array of electronic support measures that allow it to passively detect emissions from enemy radars and communications. And critically, it can share all of that data in real time with other platforms through data links. We will come back to why that matters enormously in just a moment. Firepower. The F-22 carries an internal weapons bay, which is key to its stealth. Opening external weapons pylons or hanging missiles on external racks would compromise its radar cross-section. Internally, it can carry a mix of advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles for long-range engagements, infrared missiles for close-range combat, small-diameter bombs for precision ground strikes, and joint direct attack munitions for heavier ground targets. It also carries a 20mm cannon with 480 rounds for close-in engagements. The combination of stealth, sensors, and that weapons payload makes the F-22 capable of operating in environments that would be suicidal for any other fighter in the world. With a range of over 1,500 miles and with aerial refueling support from approximately 75 tanker aircraft operating in the area of operations, F-22s have been able to fly extended missions over Tyrron's vast territory. According to flight tracking data, close to 300 fighters from various services were involved in Operation Epic Fury alongside at least 20 bombers. That is an air power concentration, the likes of which the world has rarely seen. Now here's where it gets interesting. F-22s were deployed to an airbase in the southern Levant in the weeks before Operation Epic Fury began. According to open-source flight data and social media posts from aircraft spotters in the region, the military was positioning its most capable air superiority fighters within range of Tyrron well in advance of the opening strikes. Tyrron's intelligence services either failed to grasp the significance of this buildup, or they were unable to do anything about it. Probably both. When Operation Epic Fury was launched, Central Command sent in a full spectrum of strike assets. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers carrying 2,000-pound guided penetrating bombs targeted hardened missile complexes and nuclear infrastructure. B-1B Lancers flew direct on 30-plus-hour non-stop missions, each capable of delivering up to 75,000 pounds of ordnance, making them the heaviest conventional bomber payloads in the coalition. B-52s joined the fight targeting ballistic missile sites and command, control, and communications infrastructure. F-35s, F-15Es, and F-16s conducted suppression of enemy air defenses, precision strikes, and targeting operations. And the F-22 was assigned to air superiority and executed missions with its specific targets not yet publicly confirmed, a telling detail in itself. The results were devastating to Tyrron. Defense officials reported by March 30th that approximately 80% of Tyrron's air defenses had been destroyed. Think about what that number means. Tyrron had invested decades and billions of dollars into building an integrated air defense network. It included domestically produced systems, Russian S-300s, and layers of short-range and medium-range interceptors. Within the first month of Operation Epic Fury, that network was in ruins. And the best evidence of how thoroughly it was destroyed is the B-52 bomber flying overland missions inside Tyrron. This is not a minor point. The B-52H Stratofortress is a massive aircraft. It has been flying since the 1950s. It is enormous, slow relative to modern fighters, and detectable on radar from enormous distances. A functioning modern air defense network would have shredded B-52s on approach. The fact that they are flying inside Tyrron's mainland tells you everything you need to know about the state of Tyrron's air defense system. Numbers do not lie. 80% of Tyrron's air defenses destroyed may actually be an underestimate. The F-22's role in creating that environment was central. Here is how the operation appears to have unfolded based on the information available. In the opening phase of the campaign, F-22s flew into Tyrronian airspace ahead of other strike packages. Using their stealth to penetrate undetected, they used their onboard radar and sensor suite to locate and identify Tyrron's air defense nodes, including radar sites, missile batteries, command posts, and communications infrastructure. They then either struck those targets directly using their internal munitions or transmitted targeting data to other platforms, which then executed the kills with standoff munitions. The F-22's ability to fly deep into defended territory, collect targeting data, and relay it instantly to other platforms in the coalition turned it into a force multiplier of extraordinary value. A single F-22, orbiting at altitude, invisible to every radar below it, could effectively become the eyes and the brain for an entire strike package. And that is not just operational theory. We can see the evidence in the results. According to analysis of the operation's early phase, the initial strikes hit more than 1,000 targets in the first 24 hours alone. That kind of precision at that kind of scale requires the sort of real-time battle space awareness that only a platform like the F-22 can provide in a heavily contested environment. But there is more to this story, and it involves something that happened more than a decade ago. In 2013, a pair of Tyrronian fighter jets attempted to intercept an American surveillance drone flying in international airspace. The attempt failed, which prompted the military to begin escorting its drones with F-22 Raptors. What followed was one of the most humiliating episodes in Tyrron's recent aerial history. An F-22 pilot detected the approach of the enemy jets on his sensors long before their pilots had any idea he was there. He flew his F-22 directly underneath the incoming jets, loitered there for a moment, then pulled alongside them and delivered a simple message: "You really ought to go home." The Tyrronian pilots complied. They could not see him. They could not track him. They had no option but to leave. That incident was a preview, a trailer for the movie that is now playing out over Tyrron's skies. The Revolutionary Guard had 13 years to study that encounter, to invest in radar systems that might have a chance of detecting the F-22, to develop countermeasures. They did not, and now they are paying for it. By March 21st, at least 70 senior Tyrronian regime officials had been killed since the beginning of Operation Epic Fury. That number includes some of the most significant figures in Tyrron's military leadership. The commander-in-chief of the Revolutionary Guard was killed on the first day of the operation. The senior commander of the Guard's aerospace force was eliminated. The former deputy coordinator was killed. Multiple officers from the Guard's external operations branches were eliminated. The Guard spokesman was killed. It should also be noted that the opening strikes targeted Tyrron's supreme leader based on specific intelligence about his location, and he was killed in the opening hours of the campaign. The targeting of that level of military and political leadership with that degree of precision does not happen without comprehensive real-time intelligence. F-22s orbiting invisibly over Tyrron and feeding sensor data to other platforms are almost certainly part of the intelligence chain that enabled those strikes. Whether the Raptor was the platform that delivered the fatal blow in any specific case is less important than understanding the broader picture. The F-22 created the conditions under which other platforms could operate. It was the shield and the spear at the same time. Here is where it becomes particularly remarkable for Tyrron's remaining leadership and Guard members. They know the F-22 is up there. They cannot find it. They cannot track it, and they cannot stop it. Tyrron's generals are living with the knowledge that at any moment a targeting solution could be developed on their location and they would never hear it coming. That is the kind of psychological dominance that changes how wars are fought. As of late March 2026, the situation is close to escalating into a new phase, and the F-22 is going to play a central role in what comes next. Reporting indicated that the Department of Defense is preparing for ground operations targeting Kar Island. For those unfamiliar with the geography, Kar Island is a small island off the coast of Tyrron in the northern Persian Gulf. It is the processing point for approximately 90% of Tyrron's crude oil exports. Whoever controls Kar Island controls the financial lifeline of the Tyrronian regime. The strategic logic is straightforward. Close down Kar Island and you strangle Tyrron's primary source of revenue. Combine that with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, through which approximately 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas flows, and you create economic pressure so severe that the regime has a difficult choice: negotiate or collapse. American ground forces are already assembling for this potential operation. According to reports tracking the buildup, the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit embarked on naval vessels is deploying to the region. The 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit is either en route or positioning. Paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne Division are heading to the region, giving the force approximately 6,000 additional elite soldiers in the Persian Gulf area. These forces join roughly 50,000 American troops already stationed at bases throughout the Middle East. This is a ground force of real consequence. But ground troops on Kar Island would be sitting in an extraordinarily dangerous position without air superiority. Tyrron, even with 80% of its air defenses gone, still retains missile launch capabilities, fast boats, drones, and Guard ground forces. Any soldier or Marine on Kar Island would be exposed to everything Tyrron can still bring to bear. That is where air power comes in. And specifically, that is where the F-22 comes in. The model from the aerial campaign over mainland Tyrron translates directly to the Kar Island scenario. F-22s would conduct sweeping intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions over the Strait of Hormuz coast, identifying missile launch sites, drone launch facilities, ammunition stockpiles, fast boat bases, and troop concentrations. That data gets transmitted to attack helicopters, close air support aircraft, and strike packages that can then eliminate those threats before they can be used against ground forces on the island. The F-22's small-diameter bombs are precisely the right tool for taking out hardened coastal targets without risking the kind of catastrophic collateral damage that would come from striking oil infrastructure at close range with larger munitions. There is also the question of the Strait of Hormuz coast itself. As of mid-March, reports had emerged that 5,000-pound bunker-busting munitions had been deployed against hardened missile sites along the coast. Those strikes degraded, but did not eliminate Tyrron's coastal strike capability. F-22s, using their stealth and precision, could systematically work through the remaining hardened targets in ways that non-stealth platforms simply cannot. A guard soldier with a man-portable air defense system has essentially no chance against an F-22. The jet would be on target, weapons away, and departing before the soldier could even acquire a firing solution. And the psychological dimension matters here too. Tyrron's guard commanders planning any kind of response to a seizure of Carr Island would be doing so, knowing that every position they occupy, every vehicle they move, every missile battery they attempt to activate could be identified and targeted by invisible F-22s overhead. That constant looming threat fundamentally changes how Tyrron's military can operate. It creates hesitation. It slows decision-making. And in a fast-moving military situation, hesitation is lethal. There is one more dimension to the F-22's potential role that we need to address, and it is deeply controversial. The threat has been publicly made to strike Tyrron's water desalination plants. Tyrron has been experiencing acid rain and heavy smoke since the start of Operation Epic Fury. The country is also in its 5th consecutive year of extreme drought, with some reservoirs currently sitting at approximately 10% of their maximum capacity. Desalination plants are critical infrastructure for making water safe for civilian consumption. Striking them would create a humanitarian crisis affecting ordinary people far more than the regime's leadership. This creates a profound tension with the stated goal of encouraging Tyrron's population to overthrow their government. Whether those strikes happen or not, if they do, Tyrron's remaining air defenses, however limited, would almost certainly be concentrated around these vital civilian infrastructure sites. Against most aircraft, that would create risk. Against F-22s, it creates only a marginal operational challenge. The Raptor's ability to penetrate layered defenses and strike with precision is exactly what would be needed if the decision were made to go down that road. Let us zoom out now and look at the broader context of what this operation has already achieved, because the numbers tell a story that is genuinely historic. According to defense publications, over 10,000 targets had been struck as of March 23rd. Tyrron's naval forces are assessed as between 85 and 95% neutralized. Over 120 vessels, including submarines and mine layers, have been damaged or sunk. Key port infrastructure has been targeted. The Tyrronian Navy, which once patrolled the Persian Gulf with enough confidence to harass vessels and threaten global shipping lanes, is essentially gone as an organized fighting force. Tyrron's nuclear program, which had already been severely degraded by a previous campaign, has been targeted further. The earlier operation destroyed enrichment facilities and wrecked metallurgy facilities. Operation Epic Fury has layered additional strikes on top of that, targeting administrative hubs, dual-use research facilities, and the headquarters of the Atomic Energy Agency, as well as the explosive research testing facility. The nuclear program has been set back somewhere between 60 and 80% in terms of pathway to a weapon, though full permanent denial remains a challenge because of dispersed and underground elements. Tyrron's ballistic missile enterprise, the crown jewel of its regional deterrence strategy, has been systematically targeted. Launch platforms, production facilities, storage sites, and the command infrastructure that would have coordinated a missile campaign have all been hit. In the first 4 days of the operation alone, Tyrron launched over 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 attack drones in retaliation. But that enormous volley represents Tyrron burning through its existing stockpile in desperation. Its ability to replenish that arsenal has been severely compromised. The Revolutionary Guard itself, the organization responsible for projecting power across the region, has lost not just its commander-in-chief and dozens of senior officers, it has lost the command and control infrastructure that allowed it to coordinate operations across the region. As of late March, Tyrron was continuing to launch missiles against Gulf states, but at significantly reduced rates. Missile fire against Gulf targets had dropped 22% in a single day. The momentum is going in one direction, but the human cost cannot be overlooked. As of March 31st, 2026, according to Pentagon figures, 13 service members have been killed in operations against Tyrron, and 348 have been wounded. Among the fallen are Major Jeffrey O'Brien, 45, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Robert Marzan, 54, Captain Cody Cork, 35, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amer, 39, Sergeant First Class Noah Titchens, 42, and Specialist Declan Cody, just 20 years old. All were killed in a single drone attack at a base in Kuwait on March 1st. Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, 26, was killed in an attack on an airbase in Saudi Arabia on March 8th. These are names worth saying out loud. This is not a video game. Every number in this conflict represents a human life. We should never lose sight of that. There has also been a significant setback in the air campaign. On April 3, 2026, an Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle was shot down over southwestern Tyrron. Initial Tyrronian claims that they had downed a different aircraft were determined to be incorrect based on wreckage analysis. One crew member was rescued and is receiving medical attention. Search operations continue for the second crew member. This is the first confirmed loss of a manned aircraft to enemy fire in Operation Epic Fury. While it represents a meaningful development in terms of what remains of Tyrron's defensive capability, it also highlights the reality of the threat environment that air crew are operating in every day. Notably, it was not an F-22 that was shot down. The F-15E is a formidable aircraft, but it is not stealthy. It was operating in an environment where Tyrron still retains some residual air defense capability, and it paid the price. This is precisely why the F-22's stealth, its fundamental architecture of invisibility, remains so strategically valuable. You cannot shoot down what you cannot see. Going forward, Tyrron's Gulf neighbors are beginning to respond in their own way to the attacks they have sustained.